Oh, yeah. This should be interesting. Very interesting. Or bloody boring. It just depends on your perspective. Yeah, it's interesting, Ken, about being able to hear me clicking and clunking around. The mic was open, but I wouldn't have thought that this noise. Well, I guess it's amplified on the desktop. Anyway, who knows? Who knows? So, I am thinking that this is going to be a disaster of a show, or it could be the best show ever. Oh my gosh. I mean, here's the deal, Ken. By the way, I trust your cameras came okay and everything's working out okay with those little guys. I think they're little gems. Um, I've got these wireless radios, this point-to-point wireless system. I've been playing, even though I said I was going to set it up sight unseen on the show, I decided I chickened out. I said, "Yeah, I want I want to set these up ahead of time because I've set up point-to-point wireless before, but it's been maybe 10 years ago." And I don't think the technology, frankly, has changed a whole lot since then. But back then, it took me ages to get it because I'm an idiot. I mean, that's the simple part of it. I don't know what I'm doing most of the time. And so as a result, I don't have success. Um, I watched several videos about this a couple of weeks ago and then kind of brushed up on it with some videos a little while ago and said, I'm going to bring these out and plug it in. And I'm glad I watched the videos because there were lots of opportunities for me to go wrong, which we'll talk about in the show. And we'll see if we can't get these little rascals to work. They in the pre-show, they did not work. I mean, they connected to each other, but they didn't do what I wanted them to do. So we'll get to that in just a minute. Had the grandsons on last week. Don't know if you caught that show. Really proud of them, and who's not proud of their grandkids? And took them to meet their parents on Sunday, and then collapsed for a day, and back to I think full energy. Although a good friend died this morning, and so I may cut the post show a little short, but we will see. We will see. He was older, and was suffering from several different ailments, but still, you hate to lose a friend. So there. All right. Well, this is good news on from Ken's standpoint. He ordered 4 of the new Bird Dog cameras, the P120s, which is a 20x version of the P100, with some other goodies, and he's using one already. So that's a big plus. Glad to hear that. I think you'll like them. I think they're a sweet little camera, and I like the fact that Bird Dog continues to kind of unpack features, figure out ways to make the cameras do things that they weren't ever intended to do. What was it? We had Eamon on the show a couple of weeks ago, and somebody had the suggestion of repurposing the HDMI output port. What was it? Yeah, repurposing the HDMI output port as a local monitor, but allowing you to do more than just output the camera video. Anyway, I wasn't real clear on it, but I thought, that's the kind of stuff that they might just try to do. a hat tip to Martin Sinclair and the folks at vMix. TC Long, who does rodeo video out in Texas. We've built several systems for TC over the years. And he actually sent a system back because the replay just wasn't working, and we thought it was a hardware problem. And I had remoted into it and, wasn't able to fix it. So I said, okay, it's got to be something here. vMix Tech Support suggested reseating the video card, but it was Eric's here. All right, we can start. But it's a compact unit, and the video card is buried under lots of cables and other kinds of things, and so it would be quite complicated for somebody to remove the card if they weren't familiar with the layout. So I said, send it back here. I'll do that. And I actually replaced the video card, and the problem didn't go away. And working with vMix Tech Support, you know how tech support is. You go through lots of different, try this, okay, that doesn't work, try this, especially if it's by email. It took a couple of days. And finally they said, okay, well, make this file and send it to us. And I did yesterday, and I got a notification overnight. Of course, they're in Australia, so that's a big time difference there. But I got a notification overnight that they had found the problem, that it was a bug, but that somehow we were trying to use, in instant replay, we were trying to use a camera for audio, and the camera had no audio. And so that basically caused vMix to just disappear, to crash immediately. By the time I got geared up for this show, an hour ago or whenever it was I started, as soon as I brought up vMix, I saw that there was an update available. And I went and checked the changelog to see what the updates were, and sure enough, it was to fix the bug that we had found. I mean, we weren't finding bugs. We weren't on a bug expedition, but that bug just happened to find us. So hat tip to TC for finding the bug. Good job, TC. And hat tip to Heath and everybody else at vMix Tech Support for digging in and helping us bird dog what the problem was. You like how I slipped in bird dog there. And so, got it. And I've tested it as soon as I updated my vMix this morning to 0.33. The first thing I did was check and see if that had been fixed, and it was. It basically, when you tried to export a replay clip as an MP4, and your camera was selected to provide audio, but the camera had no audio, that's what caused vMix to crash. Basically, vMix just disappeared. It was gone. And that's pretty disconcerting if you're doing a live stream or a recording and all of a sudden everything disappears. So TC's going to be delighted that that's fixed. In fact, TC reported to them and to me that he was having a problem, the same problem on a different PC that we had built for him. And, my thought was, that somehow I had screwed up twice. But it turns out he was using the same workflow on both computers, probably at my suggestion. He wanted no audio in the replay, and I don't think none is a choice. I think it should be. So I'll double check that, and we'll get to vMix and see if they can add that as an option. So today we're going to be talking about wireless point-to-point, extending your reach for cameras over wireless. And I don't want to steal my own thunder, so I'll hold off on that a bit. But we did a show 3 weeks ago on, I would say, the poor man's remote camera, but the reality of it is the point-to-point wireless are cheaper than the wired solution that I propose. I had, seems to me it was like maybe 600 feet, two 300-foot rolls of variable Cat 6. And I had a PoE booster that would plug in between the two rolls, because supposedly PoE has got a length on it. And so I've dummied all that up here in the studio. I didn't stretch it out 600 feet. But, the cost of that was probably a couple $100. Whereas the cost of these radios, I think, is $90, maybe $100, something like that. So, so there. Okay. All right. Well, it's time to get going then. If Eric Tabor is here, and if you're here, let me know. I'd love to see it in the chat. I appreciate my good friends that come into the chat, and you can be one of my good friends too. It's like, is that a compliment or a threat? Anyway, glad to have you. The same old stuff applies. What was it Parker said, the grandson, last week? Because he's a big YouTube fan, and he's like, give it a thumbs up and like and subscribe and turn on that bell for notifications, which I thought was really kind of cute. So what Parker said. But the likes do help. See, I have 2 already, so thank you. And one of them's not even mine, or the other one. Neither one of them are mine. So let's see if my shortcuts are going to work today. I played with them, and I installed the X Keys Instant Replay controller, thinking that I could use it for a class I was running a couple days ago, and forgot that when you install the Instant Replay shortcuts, they come in channel 2. Well, my good old XKey 80 is set up for channel 2, so when I enabled the shortcuts for the replay controller, they came in on top of all the others. So it was a mess. It was a mess. So anyway, I think I got that straight, but we'll see. Oh, Tim is here. The drone, Tim, I haven't cracked the course yet. I hope it doesn't expire on me. I've been so busy and been traveling a lot. Dave is in Utah. He's talking about people traveling. Love Utah. If you like to see some really good Utah scenery on YouTube, check out Matt's Off-Road Recovery, because he takes these recovery vehicles up in the boonies to drag out people that went where they shouldn't. Matt's Off-Road Recovery, really great show. It's not live; it's all YouTube. And Otis from Texas, where it's 1,000 degrees. So glad to have you. Appreciate the likes, those of you that have liked already, even though you don't know what it is you're liking. It's sort of a dangerous thing. All right, let's press the pink button, and let's see if this works, shall we? Yeah. Ta-da! I actually have a button for ta-da somewhere. Here we go. There you go. Ta-da! So welcome to Streaming Idiots. I'm Tom Sinclair, and I'm also low and off center. And what did I do? How did that happen already? We haven't been going like 10 seconds. And I've got my mic in the camera. And let's get that right. Holy cow. And I'm too low, which means, no, I don't want to zoom out. I want to go down. There we go. There we go. Jeez. Just when you thought you knew everything you needed to know, and just when you thought you had everything just right. Yeah. My color's a little different today because I've got on a lot of overhead lights. You can see them right there in the glasses. Yes. because we're going to do some stuff in the studio, I think, and I want you to be able to see it, because normally the studio is dark with just lights on this chair. So we'll work around on that. So if the color's off just a tinge, that may be why. I do have my overhead lights. When I replaced them last time, I got 5000K color temperature bulbs. They were LED replacements for fluorescence. And 5000s are what I use on my other lighting in here. So hopefully everything should match pretty well, but its location, yeah, see the location? But I've for those of you that are doing lighting, yeah, you probably can. Well, that's the really bright one right there is my main light, and I'm trying to get it up high enough so that when I make eye contact with the camera, I don't have reflection in the glasses. And then I've got my side lights, which normally would be set at, oops, sorry about that, would be like at 45s. They're really at 180s right here, to try to take some of the shadows out here without giving me reflection again on the glasses. So that's just a nugget on lighting. There we go. Welcome, William Watkins. Central Arkansas, it's also 103 degrees. No, my goodness. Sorry about that. Tim, thank you for the lifetime. Thank you for telling me that the drone class that Tim provides has no expiration. I bought a DJI Mini 2, not the new Mini 3 Pro, but the Mini 2, and thought, it's not the latest technology. It's it's a couple years old, and it'll be a good one for me to learn on. And it's been a lot of fun for me to learn on, as well as my kids and grandkids. So yeah, everybody loves to see what their house looks like from 400 feet. So that's been fun. But today we are on an adventure. And I'll tell you in advance, not all adventures end happily. Here's the deal. When 10 years ago, maybe longer ago than that now, maybe 13 years ago, when I first started live streaming, I was live streaming soccer at the municipal football stadium here in Fairhope, Alabama. Beautiful stadium, just impeccable turf. Everybody loves to come and play on it because it's soft, but it's fast at the same time. And the guys that take care of it just, really, really know what they're doing. And it's Bermuda, but it's like, a golfing green. And it's smooth for soccer. Smoothness is really important. So all the kids from neighboring schools love to come play here. And anyway, we started live streaming the games. And I think we had AT&T come put in a DSL line. That was, way back when, 13 years ago. DSL. Hello, Chris. Glad to have you. And the DSL speed, I think the upload speed was like 0.5 or something horrendous, 0.5 megabits per second. And, that's when I learned how to live stream with, almost no internet. So we were sending out a 0.2 or a 0.2 or a 250. Well, what would that be? 250 thousandths. Basically a quarter of a megabit per second. And it was a 480 stream. And anyway, long story short, we did that for a season and realized, that it really was not good. It was bad. It was better than nothing, because there was nobody else was doing anything like this, but ours was bad. And so if you turned ours on and then turned on ESPN, you wouldn't get confused over which was which. Let's put it that way. So the next year I said, we got to do better than this. We got to get the TV cable companies were offering internet at that point, but they wouldn't put one in the stadium, in the football stadium, because the distance from their pole was, exceeded 300 feet or whatever it was. And they weren't going to do anything to help us. And it wasn't like it was the school calling or the athletic director or, the county school system or anything like that. It was just a guy. that was going to have it put in, and they thought probably I was a little a little sketchy anyway. So yeah, William, it was 250 kilobits. Thank you. Yes, that was the number I was searching for, so roughly. So the stadium sits down in kind of in a bowl, and so which is really a ravine, and so the ravine goes out one way and then goes out the other way, and there was a neighborhood across the ravine and across some intramural football fields, probably 600 yards maybe. And in that neighborhood lived the grandparents of one of the soccer players. And I happened to know the family really well, and I asked them to help me with the introduction, to meet the grandparents, and asked them if we couldn't put in TV, cable, internet into their house. Except it really wouldn't help to put it in their house because, how are we going to get it across the ravine? Well, point-to-point wireless was the solution. And we had these big old boxes. I say big, they weren't satellites, but they were, probably 2 feet by 9 inches, something like that, big white ones. And they were powered by, they were PoE. And so we got them in, and, I played with them in the living room at my house to make sure that they would work before we went to all the trouble of installing them in difficult to reach locations, which is my best tip I'm going to give you in all of this. Test this stuff on your dining room table, test this stuff in your garage, test it wherever you can, but make sure you've got easy access to everything, so that you can get everything just tuned in just right before you install it. And that goes with anything. That goes with cameras, anything that you're installing that's hard to get to. Make sure you test it before you hang it from the ceiling. Anyway, it took me several days to get it tuned in. Now, you think I'm an idiot now. 12 years ago, I was ignorant, an idiot, stupid. You think of a word to describe all of that, and I was all of it, because I wasn't a video guy, I wasn't an audio guy, I wasn't an IP guy. I was just somebody who wanted this stuff to work. And so I dug in and finally figured out a way to make it work. And it worked, and we went out and installed it. The coach for the soccer team moonlighted with the National Guard as a communications expert. And so he was able to give me some tips as to why the first installation that I made wouldn't work. He said, you're not going to burn through those trees. You're going to have to put that thing where you've got line of sight. I was like, oh, that's what they mean by line of sight. But I could see through the tree. He said, no, it's not the same thing as seeing through the trees. There have to be no trees. And I couldn't cut the branches. So what we ended up doing is we ended up hanging one of the giant point-to-point wirelesses on a football goalpost up at the intramural field, and running PoE Ethernet underground from the base of the goalpost about, 30 yards to the grandparents' backyard, and running it into their shed, little work shed back there, and had the modem, the router, installed in the shed. And that's where their washing machine was, and they only had one plug. So we would unplug the washing machine and plug in the router, and then and then forget about it. And the next time they needed the laundry, they'd unplug the router and plug in the washing machine. I mean, it was hilarious. It was awful. It was primitive, to say the least. And of course, there was that times where we'd show up to broadcast and there was no internet. It was point to point. It was like, the washing machine is plugged in. Oh, is that just not hilarious? That is just hilarious. Anyway, we got all that worked out. We knew to stop by their house before a game, make sure it was plugged in, tell them not to do any laundry during the game. They needed to be at the game anyway, because they didn't know how to watch it. Anyway, it was funny. So that was my first experience at point-to-point wireless. and really my only experience. Fast forward 13 years to today. Well, to a couple of weeks ago. And I picked up a pair of radios, the Kuwifi brand, Kuwfi. And these are made in China. How about that? Who would have figured? Kuwifi. Anyway, and they are 2.4 G, 300M, high performance wireless outdoor CPE. Not sure what CPE stands for. If you know, let me know. Communications something equipment or something like that. Anyway, and also on the back here it gives the password and the master CPE IP 192.168 blah blah blah, and the slave. And so there are two of these guys, a master and a slave. And the master, there's a little switch in here. Actually, there's a switch in both of them. See if I can get it up to the point where you can see the little teeny switch. There's a little switch right there. And one side of the switch is H for master, and the other side of the switch is C for slave. Got that? Got that. So I've got one of them in H mode and one of them in C mode. Daniel, welcome, says customer premises equipment. Well, it's definitely that. And so to orient you some more with this, because this is what it's got a very nice mount on the back, so you can mount it up against a pole. Comes with a couple of real heavy-duty zip ties. It's even got a place where you can mount a carriage bolt or something like that, and recess the nut in there. So I mean, somebody did some nice design, and then a couple of cutouts here so you could hang it on a wall. So you've got lots of mounting options. Going back in here, there's a little trap door that covers all this. The radio would, of course, would sit like this. And let's just unplug this guy for just a second. And then I'm going to let you look in there, and you can see there are two RJ45 jacks, and some extra little lights, and then a big LED screen, or I guess it's an LCD screen, and then some push buttons. And the two jacks are labeled WAN and LAN, brothers, of course, which wasn't particularly helpful to me, but that's okay, because you can always read the directions. And then there is a power adapter, which is labeled, don't know if you can see that, but it says PoE and LAN. Well, PoE has a short cable, and that plugs into the WAN port here. And then LAN, which would be my local and this is the slave, this is the master here. The LAN on here is where my internet plugs in, not the LAN on here, apparently, according to the videos I've seen. And Sky says, customer premises equipment, CPE, is telecommunications and information technology equipment kept at the customer's physical location rather than on the service provider's premises. Yeah, well, let's get that bug stuff out of the way. Sorry about that, Chris. Oh, and by the way, my mouse is on 2.4 gigahertz. And you know what happens when I plug these radios in? Yep. Found that out this morning. Good to know before the show, because all of a sudden the mouse just went, ain't moving, too many different signals, I'm confused. So nothing's plugged in at the moment. Mouse is still working. So we're going to take the, now that we've got this guy configured, we think properly, we're going to take the PoE from the power adapter and plug it into the WAN port on the radio. Now, nothing is plugged into to Juice yet, so nothing should happen. And then accordingly, this is the master. Accordingly, the slave is set up with the same cord coming from the power adapter, coming from PoE. And I have plugged in here, according to one of the video directions I saw, my remote Ethernet cable. This one being plugged into my switch, which is plugged into my router. And my remote one is plugged into a BirdDog P100, which generally is PoE, but this is not going to provide PoE, so I've got the BirdDog plugged into power, so it has power. So do I have a shot of any of this stuff? I think I might. Let's see. Let you look over my shoulder here for just a second. Please excuse the mess. All right, so I've got the master, I've got the slave, I've got the BirdDog. The master is connected to power and also to my switch, which is a PoE switch. So I'm a little concerned about that, but we'll get there. And then the slave is connected to power, and then the LAN on the PoE injector is connected to the BirdDog, and the BirdDog is separately connected to power. So there we go. So let's see if anything good will happen as a result of this. So we're going to take power. We're going to power both these guys on at the same time. And in fact, let me zoom this over-the-shoulder cam in a little bit so that you can see what's going on with the radios. Oh, it won't go down any further. How about that? Well, let's take a second and fix that so that you can have the best view ever. And we'll just lower the tripod a little bit. We'll lower that in the front and see if that doesn't make any difference. So that when we zoom in, there we go. Yeah. All right. We have technology, even if we don't know how to use it. All right. So we got a couple radios here. Let's try to get these cables out where you can see the little, what we're looking at here are these little lights right there. And so I've got these two guys, and I'm going to plug them into electrical at the same time, more or less, and we'll see what happens when we do that. So we see little lights beginning to spin, and a little power light comes on the back of the PoE injector to let you know that it's powered. And then some of our little connection lights are beginning to flash here. There are four lights. Top left is power, bottom left is Wi-Fi, top right is LAN, and bottom right is WAN. The fact that we don't have any plugged into either LAN port, I guess means the top right of these four lights right here will never be eliminated. H again tells us this is the master unit, and C tells us this is the slave unit. Apparently, if I change this address on the master, it'll automatically change on the slave. We're not going to do any of that. And supposedly, we are all connected. Now, there's a process that I can go through to change the configuration of these guys. They have a an IP address, which is printed on the back, which is different than my network. So I have to go into my PC and change the IP address of the PC to match these guys, and then I can get into their configuration. But according to some of the videos that I watched, you don't have to go in. I mean, that this should be functional right now. Now, what's not functional is my mouse. Mouse doesn't work. It's got juice, but it's too close to these radios. But if I hold it under the table, it might work. And so what I've got, and let's see if we can get a mouse action here and do something. Come on, mouse. You can do it. You can do it. Got to get him far enough away from those radios. There we go. Now we got to find him. Let's try again. I'm going to let this kind of slip to the floor where it should be okay. And there's the mouse. Good job. Bear with me just a second. I mean, not that you have any choice, but you know what I mean. Okay, let's go out just a little bit so we can see the camera over there. And what I want to do, let's add an input in vMix, which is the NDI Studio Monitor. So we'll do a desktop capture. We'll get, we'll do display 1. And we know we want to do display 2. Sorry, bear with me just a second here. Desktop capture, local desktop capture. We'll do display 2. There we go. All right, so let's go here. That's the monitoring YouTube. And then this is actually NDI Studio Monitor. So I'm going to go out in my now working mouse, and we're going to see we've got 3 NDI cameras available. We've got this PTZ Optics 20X looking over my shoulder. We've got this Bird Dog P400, which is my direct cam. And then we now see our P100. But what you'll see is as soon as I select this guy, the screen freezes. And yeah, that's not a good that's not a good look. And so we see the existence of the camera, but we can't communicate with the camera. Now there's another tool that we can use to look for that kind of stuff. It's called Bonjour Browser. Bonjour Browser. So let's drag him over there where everybody can see him. And Bonjour Browser will find what is on our local area network. So there is my printer. There is my 4K cam. There's some more instances of the printer. There is the PTZ Optics 20X. And let's go down a little bit. And that's it. So the printer, and we can refresh the screen. And it looks like, yeah, my PC must be outputting an NDI source. And we'll refresh this a couple times, and we're still getting the same result. So we've got some sort of minor communication with the camera. It sees it on the network, but we don't seem to be able to receive the video signal or over NDI, let's put it that way. So this is as far as I got in the pre-show, or the pre-pre-show. was to get to this point of having the radios on, having them synced with each other, having PoE essentially to both of them, and then having the camera on, powered up, and we can power cycle. Let's try to power cycle the camera and see what happens when we do that. So we're just going to unplug it. There we go. And that's going to turn off the power. Yep. And then we'll plug it back in. Now, it may be that NDI is unable to bridge these guys with a different IP address. So we might go in and try going in and changing the IP address for these two guys and put them on the same network with the rest of my gear. You can see the bird dog is kind of resetting himself. And let's see, can we do a mouse thing? I've got my mouse under my chair, and that's how I'm able to get it to work. Let's see, let's do, we'll do Bonjour browser. Hold on. There we go. So we'll do Bonjour browser. Let's refresh him. And we see the DeskJet, the 4K cam, the PTC Optics cam, the PC, and we don't see the other cam. If we go back to the NDI studio monitor, we can see the over-the-shoulder cam. We've got the 4K cam. That's me. And then this is our bird dog camera, the P100, and it doesn't give us anything. So we don't have the result that we want at this point. So I think this guy is having trouble bridging a different network to become a video source via NDI. So we either need to, and let me get some feedback from you guys on this. Should we go ahead and try to change the IP address of the two radios and put them on our local area network? Or should I try a different device, like maybe a laptop or something like that over here, and see if we can just get an internet connection or an Ethernet connection from there through the radios to our local area network? So I'll give you guys a chance to put your thinking caps on that one and give me some good advice. I'm assuming that we're able to connect because this camera shows up as a source in NDI Studio Monitor. It just doesn't show any internet. I mean, show any picture. So maybe it's limited by the amount of bandwidth it can pass. Maybe it's just not doing the NDI handshake correctly. All right, well, let's see. Ray says put everything on the same network. All right, well, let's try that. Let's try that. So let's go back to this screen right here. We'll get all this stuff. We'll clear the decks on that stuff for the moment. And we'll bring up our network stuff. And we'll change adapter options. And we've got to change adapter options to match the radios. So we will do that here and set the address as 192. Oh, the keyboard doesn't want to work either. Let's take it under the desk. There we go. 192. 168.168.188.253, I believe, is the master control. And so that's going to cause this guy to reset here. Give it a chance to set itself up. All right, unidentified network. So let's bring up a browser. And this is where I was before. 192.2. There we go. .168. I know this is painful. It's painful for me too, because I can't put my keyboard on the desk because the radio's getting in the way. The 2.5 frequency. Okay, so we're logged into it. Well, supposedly we're logged in. Let's your site is not secure. Okay. 192.168.188.253. Let's double check the radio. And the address is 192.168.188.253. Let's try again. 1, 9, 2. And we may go back and check and make sure we change the PC to the right network too. Oh, there we go. 188.253. Enter. And we'll give that just a second. While we're doing that, let's see if we can't double check that we are on the right local area network. Well, struggling with the mouse again. There we go. Oh, you know what? I'm an idiot. I set the PC address for the same address as the master. So let's change that. All right, so that should reconfigure this guy, and we should be able to do this now. There we go. Password is admin. You've seen that password before. Okay, so we're going to go over to the network tab. We've got a static IP address. And we will change this address. And let's give it 253, so we know that it's the master. And when we hit apply, this guy's going to disappear probably. Martin is asking, is there a DHCP setting for the radio link device? Yes, there is. Sky is offering, do you have a gig network? Yes. Ken says, can you ping the camera? Bet I can. Ken says, is the camera sending too fast? Probably. Ski says, the fact that that it was able to see the camera means it's not a network problem and thinking it's a bandwidth problem. Martin says, don't think it's a bandwidth issue or else it would connect but drop lots of frames. So let's see if we can't put it all on the same network, if that's even possible and working. So, okay, so 253 is now not available because we've changed networks. So let's go to the slave and see if we can change the slave to be on the same network that everybody else is on. And the slave is 100, I believe. I haven't been this far before, so you guys are with me for this journey. And it looks like it's going to take too long to respond. 192.168.188.100. Let's double check the slave. And 192.168.188.100 is the slave's address. So let's double check that we haven't somehow. What is our network there? (192.168.188.99) is what we set the PC for. Oh, you know what? We're not going to be able to talk to the slave because the slave is not on is communicating to the network through the master. So we need to go back and change the master to be what it is, change the slave, and then change the master again. Okay, so let's go back here. And we will have to go back. Oh boy, this is getting a little complicated, but that's okay. Even more complicated by the fact that the mouse is not cooperating well. I just need to put a wired mouse on here. Properties. Let me see if I can find a wired mouse real quick. 1 second. 1 second. Don't go anywhere. Unless you've got something else to do, of course. Okay, here's a Logitech wired mouse. And of course, I can't show you anything. You know, I'm amazed any of this is still working because I've changed the network address of this PC. I wonder how it's still live streaming and communicating. Because I've lost my cameras. Okay. That noise you heard was a mouse, and we'll turn the wireless mouse off. So now we've got mouse access. There we go. Let's go back here. That's going to change us back there. Let's go back to, we have to do the keyboard underneath. 192. And we'll go to 253. And we'll put in the address, the password, admin. And we're not worried about that. We'll go back to network, static IP address. We're looking for 88 so that it can communicate with the slave. And then we will go back. Let's go back to this guy and put him on the same network with the wireless bridge. 192.168.188, and we'll call this guy 99. 192.168.188.1. So now he should be, did I get it all correct this time? Yes, I did. So that'll change that. And once it says unidentified network, there we go. Now let's go back to 192.168.188.253. No, 100. Now we're on the same network. We should be able to get access. There we go. ADMIN. So now we're on the slave. We'll go to the network. Let's give it, oh, no, this is not the slave. We logged into the to the master. Let's try again. 192.168.188.100. And see if that'll get us into the master. Looks like something's happening there. We're going wireless to wireless. It's not secure. The radios are 6 inches away from each other, which may be too close. I didn't realize when I did the setup years ago, I had the radios right next to each other, and I was not getting any result, and finally read on a forum somewhere that they need to be at least a few feet apart. Okay, so we are on the slave here. Let's put in our password, admin, log into that. There we go. A little slow. This guy says I need to change the defaults. Yeah, this is just a test. I mean, we can tweak it once we get it. Once we get the camera. The idea is that the camera needs to stand alone with the radio, and you can use the radio to transport video and to communicate with the camera. The page is unresponsive. Let's wait. Getting a lot of activity on the radio screens. Oops. We'll wait again. Again, we may have them a little close to each other. I'll see if I can put them a little further apart. And maybe they have to point towards each other. We'll see. There we go. Looks like we got into something there. And maybe somehow the keyboard was interfering. Okay. So let's go to the network page. Currently, I've got the radios about 5 feet apart, facing each other, under the desk on the floor. So there you go. Can't get much better than that. And all cameras, I think I might have a webcam that's working here. Yeah. So we got a webcam that's working. But all the other cameras are NDI cameras, and so we're off that network currently. So, yeah. All right, let's see. Let's stop this and refresh it and see what happens. if this is the speed of the if this is the speed of the network, no wonder it's not transporting video. Holy cow. I mean, we are just fly on the wall right now, waiting for something to happen. Let's see. There we go. Okay. Now, let's see if we can edit this. We'll give it a fixed address of 192.168.1.100. I think 100 is actually available. Let's double check real quickly. We'll open a command prompt here. IP config. Oh, that's not going to tell us anything because we're on the wrong network. We're on the 188 network. So let's just guess that 100 is going to work. Let's apply that. And it's going to take a second to apply it. That's okay. And then once it changes, it won't be available between the master and the slave. The master won't be able to find it anymore because it's on a different address. So we're going to go and change the master to the same network here as the studio, and then we'll change this PC. Where are you? Right there. We'll change this PC back to the same network as the studio. Okay, I think that's a good sign right there. Let's see. Let's go in and put in the address for the master. Oops, 168.188.253. And he just popped right up. We're going to come into network. We'll adjust him down to 192.168.1.253, apply, and then he's going to disappear. And while he does his thing, we'll go back here and we'll change that to our network. And we're on our network, and of course, now the wireless bridge 192.168.253 says, do you want to log in? Not really. But let's see if the slave is there now. And again, the slave seems to take a little bit of time, so let's be patient and give her some time. Is that what we're getting here? ADMIN? Or is that, I think that's just left over from the previous page. Yeah. Okay, we're getting there though. But pretty slow. Certainly not slow and a lot fast enough to carry an HD NDI feed. Okay, we're getting somewhere. We're loading part of a page. The suspense is killing me. Come on, guy. Come on, you can do it. Let's take this down so we don't use up any network bandwidth that we don't need. What are you guys saying? Yeah, full NDI takes up 100 megs, which means a good network. Yeah, but we don't know what the speed of this connection is. That's the thing. That's the thing. So we're waiting for the slave to come back here so that we can see that we're even communicating with the slave before we try to communicate. I think we're going to need to find a bigger boat. Oh, unresponsive. Let's just wait. Let's be patient. There it is. ADMIN. Can we log in and see that we are indeed on the slave? I thought 300M meant meters. I didn't think it meant minutes. 300M to connect. No. Or 300 megabits. 300 megabits would be great. I mean, shoot. We're just sending data for one camera. So we're good there. I think we've connected to the slave. But I think we are suffering a speed problem. And we can try to ping the camera once we get, we'll wait. Once we get a connection here. Appreciate you being patient and hanging around on this one. Of course, it may mean you have nothing else better to do, and I get that. Come on. Come on, slave. We'll continue to wait. You know, it'd be interesting in our political environment to see how much longer we refer to these devices as master and slave. Oh, we got a change of color here. It's going to begin to populate this page with data. There we go. Look at that. It is in repeater mode, which I don't think is what we want. Let's go check the network page and see. Of course, it's going to take the page a while to load. Meanwhile, we can look at this one. Oh, well, there's the LAN information right there. 192.168.1.100. Oh, we should have stated that page because we had lots of stats there that we could have looked at. I keep running back here just to make sure you haven't told me something wise that I can use to help tweak these radios and make them work a little faster. But what we know a couple of things. We know, number one, these radios are really slow currently. Number two, we'll wait. Number two, we know that we can put them on our own local area network, change the IP address of both the slave first and the master second, and put them on our .1 network. And so we know that for sure. Now, whether or not we're going to get any data from the camera or any indication from the camera at all. All right, so we're static IP 192.168.1.100. We're good there. Let's go back home. I know it's going to take a while to get there. But let's look at some of the other data that's available in terms of speed and such. All right, it says the bit rate, this is YouTube now, the stream's current bit rate is lower than the recommended bit rate. Well, that's because we're sending you a page that doesn't move. I can move around a lot right here and get some more bits to change, but I don't think that's the same thing. And actually, now that we've got everything back on the same network, we've got this camera is back online. It was not online previously. This camera was frozen previously, as was this camera. That camera was frozen previously. So good to have those guys back where they need to be. And we're still waiting for this guy to kind of get back where he needs to be. And let's see, let's do a little swap out here. We'll put that one there and edit him down. We can put him there and then take that guy off. All right. So that's going to give us some information here. So we've got the IP address, we've got the subnet, the MAC address, the gateway, the DHCP server's off, but that's okay. We're getting some data here, and it says repeater downstream, which is 782K, not too bad. Repeater upstream, that would be going back to the master. Looks like that's lower than 196K, way down here at the bottom. Looks like we've got good signal quality, good link quality. We just have slow speed. We're on channel 5. Status is something is off. Wi-Fi, oh, the Wi-Fi is off. Okay, well, that's fine. And we're in repeater mode. I thought we needed to be in AP mode. Can we check that without screwing everything up? Let's go to the wizard. I know this will take a little while. And apparently the little while it takes is not sending the signal. Well, repeater downstream. Yeah, not sure. We don't want the second radio set up as a Wi-Fi access point. So maybe we're good on repeater. What do you think about that? Dave says TP-Link CP units should be better than this option. Has MAV tried NDI using his TP-Link units? Who is Mav? Oh, you're talking about Rich? I don't know. That's a good question. Yeah, Dave, my criteria for choosing these was that these were the cheapest ones I could find. And I thought, let's start at the bottom of the barrel. And if the cheap ones do great, fabulous. You can buy a pair and buy 2 pair and keep a pair in the box for when the first pair break at $89 a pop or whatever they were for the pair. And I have a feeling that some of this may be a matter of tweaking. Some of it may be a matter of installation. Currently these guys are lying on their sides on the floor. So that doesn't give, that's not their intended position, I'm sure. Some of the reviews that I saw online in YouTube reviews of this exact model, showed 200 or 300 yards, a good, what was it, 20 megabit connection, which is, suitable for live streaming, probably not suitable for HD NDI. So we'll see. If we could get half of the 300, if we could get 150 out of this, that would be great. That would give us, enough bandwidth for one HD camera. And that was the scenario that I was thinking, that this could be a single portable station. Drop it out there with a little battery pack, and a tripod and a camera and this device, and away you go. And you set it up as needed, or if you've got a permanent mount for it, that's good too. In our particular venue here in Fairhope, we're still loading this page apparently. Let's reload it because the wizard doesn't appear to be showing us anything. Our venue here in Fairhope, on the south end zone is the scoreboard. And so I could see mounting a camera on the scoreboard and then mounting a wireless radio on the scoreboard and sending it back to the press box. Scoreboard might even have a power outlet that we could steal there, which would make that process much easier. Heck, the scoreboard could have access to Ethernet. My guess is it's a video scoreboard, so it's got some sort of video connection. Okay, we're still waiting on the wizard here, which is not being very impressive at all. Dave says his TP links cost $100 for the pair. Keaton says try using the LAN side to connect the slave side network. You may need PoE to WAN side only. Daniel says I've used Unified NanoBeam 5AC for linking, though not for NDI. Claims 450 megabits. I got 120 to 150, if I remember correctly, on 400 feet. Okay. Eric Tabor says, I've used the Ubiquity network, AirMax PowerBeam, AC 5 gigahertz, Gen 2, a high-performance bridge to run some remote gear, 250 for the pair. Eric, do you remember what speeds you were getting? That's kind of the issue that we're dealing with right now is currently. Okay, here we go. All right, so we've got, we're in the wizard. The current mode is the repeater mode. And it says, in this mode, the user can access wireless AP. Devices can connect to other wireless devices using the wireless. All interfaces are bridged together without NAT, firewall, and other network-related functions. All right. Well, that's kind of what we think we want, is that. So we would have to make a switch, a physical switch on the radio to switch to AP mode. I don't know that we want to go to AP mode. Let's check out the Manage tab and see what the Manage tab has given us. Eric got 450 megabits over 2 miles. That's nice. The nano beams are about 160 a pair. All right. Helpful, helpful. So, Dave, do you know what you got, what kind of speeds you got on your TP links? And we'll have to ask Rich what speeds he got on his. Obviously, unless there's a configuration problem here, these radios are not going to work. I tell you what, I'm going to try to separate. No, I don't have enough cable to separate them. Well, let's try a little bit further apart. May be that we're getting the same. All right. Configuration, backup, restore, reset, reboot. We don't care about that. Modify password, upgrade time, and log. I don't know that there's anything there that's really going to help us. it's really kind of funny. I had set up these radios, or at least set up a tripod outside, and I was going to shoot from right here at this camera out the front door, which is right over there, and then, that's probably 20, 30 feet apart, not that far, but at least I thought it would be far enough to demonstrate and, demonstrate that you could get wireless video. But no, it's not happening. Okay, so we're still in the management mode. We're getting better, a little bit better speed. Let's go back to home here and see if our home has given us, if our speeds have changed. Got the radios about 6 feet apart now, mostly pointing at each other, but within 6 feet, it's probably not a big deal. And while we wait on this, I am going to bring up NDI tools. NDI studio monitor. And there is that cam. There is that cam. So we know we have cams working. And this is the cam we want. And it's still not there. This is just a leftover screen from the other cam. Okay. So we've got to, we'll put in our password again and see if we can't go back. Welcome, Freddie Flores. Tuned in from Honduras. Glad to have you. All right, we're trying to go to the home page now on the slave. Actually, while we do that, let's use another browser and let's go back to the oops, no, that's not what we want. Let's go back to the master here and see what kind of, the master is super responsive. The AP downstream is all over the map. The upstream is, Let's go back to the wireless bridge here. I guess both of them are wireless bridges. Operational mode is repeater mode. Operation mode here is AP mode. That's kind of interesting. Okay, and this is, we are on the slave right now, and the slave says that it is downstream 782K to 977K and less than 200K on the upstream. And this is a 2G Wi-Fi. Well, let's, just for the sake of argument, let's change this guy to a repeater mode and see what happens. Looks like we have to change a switch back and forth. Oh, we do it on the radio itself. We don't do it here in software. Okay. So we'll go back and forth. Let's see what that did. repeater mode on the slave. Now we're going to log back into the master, which is still on AP mode. Okay, I did that switch more than once. I'm going to just do it once. Let's see. Let's try again. Now the repeater downstream and the repeater upstream, it'll be interesting to know really which is which. I mean, is this saying that it has an upload capability of under 200K? That would explain why it's so slow to respond. And it can receive a stream, a download of just under 1 megabit per second. All right, we'll log in here again. Still in AP mode. Still with unimpressive speeds. All right, well, let's see if we can just log into the camera. 192.168.1-133 would be the camera. Let's see if it's on the network and identifiable at any level. While we do that, let's also bring up a command prompt and see if it shows up at ipconfig. Oh, ARP-A, that would tell me what I want. Okay. Is 131, 133? Yep, it shows 133 right there as a device connected to the network. So, yeah, let's move that out of the way for a second. So this is the BirdDog interface. Let's log into it and see if we can slow the NDI speeds way down and get something from it. So at least we know we're able to connect with the camera. Password, BirdDog. Smart move was putting the radios on the floor because that made my keyboard work. Probably would make my mouse work, but I bailed for a wired mouse. Okay, we are on the, this is the slave, and you can see the activity right there would be maybe something that's going on with the camera. This is the master, and you can see some activity. Oh, up to 2 megs. Okay, so maybe something's cooking there. We're logged into the BirdDog, 2% net worth bandwidth. Let's see if we can't change our Change our NDI managed bandwidth. That's not the page. It's a little bit more responsive now than it was, and you know, again, radios are further apart than they have been. Adrian says Ethernet cable on the slave should be in LAN, not WAN. Ethernet cable on the slave is in, hang on, is in LAN. Ethernet cable on the slave is LAN. Okay, still, let's go to the System tab. That's where I thought we told it to go just a minute ago. Still says Network up here. Oh, now we're going to Settings. System Update. No, that's not what we want, so let's go to AV Setup. Feels like it's a tad more responsive. More like dial-up. Okay. Encode settings. All right. Bitrate management. Let's go to manual. NDI video bandwidth settings should be changed with consideration to your overall capabilities. Typical bitrate for 1080p is 120 megabytes. Increasing this can add additional load to the software receivers that may result in unpredictable behavior, while lower bandwidth can affect image quality. Okay. Well, we can go back and change our resolution. So we'll agree to that. There we go. Now it's going to refresh this screen. This is bandwidth. I mean, this is dial-up speeds right here. Welcome to dial-up. Welcome back to dial-up. All right, manual set for 140. Let's set it down. It looks like 80 is the lowest we can go. So we'll set it for 80, and then let's go back to I think this may be the same page. We'll check once it refreshes and see what the lowest resolution is that we can set it up with. Let's see. Looks like 1080. Excuse me. All right, so we've got 720p 60, P5994, and P50. So 1080p 2997 and 720p 60. I think this is going to be slower. All right. Well, let's go back to Studio Monitor and see. We'll reset this one there, and then we'll go back here and see if we're getting anything there. Nope, not yet. This is the slave showing the activity there. No, check that. This is the master right here. This is the slave. And that's the bird dog. Here's a slave. CPU use is 9%, memory use is 27%. On the master, CPU 12, memory use is 28. This is the CPU in the radio, not in the PC. Okay, well, this has been an interesting experiment. And still not getting any activity here. So we've not been able to slow that camera down enough to put anything over the internet. All right. Well, at least, nope. At least we know. At least we know. Well, that took a lot longer than it should have. And I do appreciate you guys hanging in with me for as long as you did on that one. Yeah, Daniel says the network speed is 100 megs according to the bird dog. And, you know, Daniel, that just may be the speed between the bird dog and the slave. It's hard to say. Hard to say. Well, I'm going to play with it some more here, and I'll give you an update next week if we come up with anything that is better than what we have here. I do appreciate you guys taking the time to pop in and visit with me on this one. We would say that this has been a success in that we realize one of two things is going on. Either we have the wrong gear, we have the wrong tool for the job, or we don't know how to use our tool, and therefore it's not giving us the performance that that we need it to give us. So that's what I think is going on. If you've got some other brainstorms, I would love it if you would post those on this YouTube video. This will be available to watch again. I know you just can't wait to go back and watch every riveting moment, especially when we waited for those pages to load. Oh my gosh. It's got to be on me. It's got to be on me. But at least we got the radios communicating, and we found out that the camera was indeed attached, and we were able to get access to the camera page. So we've got our links established in a way that communicates. It may not be the best, and in fact, I was watching a video that says that this is not the best way to do it, that there's a faster way to do it. I need to go back and watch that video again. I didn't finish watching it. So I'll give you an update on this next week. Loved having you here. Appreciate your support. Love it if you can give me a like. Yeah, you can give me a thumbs down too, but you know, apparently thumbs up helps the algorithm. So, you know, everybody needs a helpful algorithm. See you next week. Thanks for watching. And if I can help you in any way, let me know. Right? Right. Later.